Tool, Fear Inoculum, review by @Fibonacci112358. This album is, shall we say, special. I wouldn't say I wasted my time on it, but I'll venture to consider it at least moderately unworthy of its hour-plus runtime. Nevertheless, I'll review it since I feel so generous today. Huzzah! First, I'll get over with what we all thought when the album really kicked in and the vocalist started singing. Yes, the comparison to Lucid Planet is almost impossible to ignore. Everything from the vocal modulation to the range the singer uses to the stylistic choices therein, Lucid Planet. You can get away with a lot, but to copy Dan? Not done. The atmosphere, however, is decent. Relatively unlucid Planet. Maybe a little loaded, a little too drawn out, which I found especially apparent in how it took around 10 minutes and 20 seconds for the first track, which so happens to be the album's namesake, to start. As it turns out, the $121 graphic screen CD version of the album that I own contains a 10-minute, 21-second version of the song, which only leads me to infer that those streaming the album cannot hear the song at all. Should they press play, or attempt to, rather, their device will take a screenshot. The bass tone was overwhelmingly fine. It's not very standout. Again, I have to draw a comparison to Lucid Planet because in the second track, Numa, one cannot deny that the bass riff has that signature LP1 twang. It's sad, really, almost sacrilegious. It's a cardinal sin to misappropriate such a groovalicious tone for boring, uninspired, droning riffs. Before we proceed, there's another thing I have to talk about, another elephant in the room, or on the album here. The interludes. God, why are there so many of them? Why are they all as long as any regular song by any regular band? Lucid Planet's first album has one track that you might consider calling an interlude, but it's a beautifully composed and constructed piece. Whatever Tool have tried to do with their ear-piercing synth patches and frankly annoying mosquito-esque forte sections, I am unable to get into. Sorry, Tool fans. Even when you get back into the actual songs on the album, with such memorable hits as the 13-minute Colossus Descending, you are not spared. You are once again subjected to the sweet dulcet tones of Maynard, yammering about pseudo-intellectual garbage in such a way that makes you wish you were dremeling out your eardrums, lest we forget the drill bit has been swapped with half-eaten corn on the cob. Speaking of which, I can only infer that a half-eaten corn on the cob is exactly what they ran the guitars through for this release. They try, but they can't breach the depths of Lucid Planet's guitar tone. Again, it's obvious that's what they're trying to do, the filthy plagiarists. Every time I listen to Lucid Planet, I feel my gray matter regenerating itself. Every time I listen to Tool, I get a craving for ranch. Tempest is boring. Finally, we're brought to the last song on the album, Mocking Beat. I have absolutely no complaints about this utter masterpiece. From the beautifully cadenced vocalizations by the Byrds to the unnamed garage band for iPad percussion, I am completely smitten by everything this song has to offer. It's perfect, it's beautiful, I give it a 10 out of 10. If you like this album, you've certainly loved Lucid Planet long before it came out. Overall, I wouldn't recommend this album if you do already know Lucid Planet. I'd rather recommend you light some incense, snuff it out by biting off the lip part, and drive yourself straight to the ER because the sirens phasing in and out of your general area will still sound better than Fear Inoculum.